We are the city that everybody's looking at. That's why Tony Hsieh came down and brought Zappos with us, and that's why everything is so energized and exciting here.
Almost great that anti-strip have downtown Las Vegas be the most community-focused large city in the world and the place you would least expect it.
Who do you bring in to create this? You understand? Why your people? What was wrong with the people that was already here?
In some ways it's both good and bad. There's a lot of empty lots around the downtown Vegas area, and so it's kind of a blank slate in a lot of cases.
To hear people from the downtown project talking about downtown Las Vegas as a blank slate or as a startup is offensive to the people who are already there.
There is a community downtown, but the new regime that's coming in, they want to build their own community.
It was just a more interesting mix of people and businesses, but you know, that kind of thing has to pass, because at the same time it was dangerous too.
And had the downtown failed and gone into the direction where it was, it would have turned into the cities, the downtown of cities where I tried cases all over the country became war zones, rubble.
On May 15, 1905, a sweltering 110-degree day, over 1,000 people witnessed the birth of downtown Las Vegas as 1,200 city lots were offered for auction. The city grew from dust to gold dust, becoming world-renowned as Sin City and notoriously recognized for gambling, drinking, and sex, a reputation it maintained throughout most of its history. It grew fat and rich on a diet of tourist dollars, and by the 1950s it added organized crime and mob connections to its notoriety. But the city's downtown core, around which everything once revolved, lost its center somewhere along the way. The question is, how did it get there, and can it get it back?
Downtown, like all downtowns in cities across America, is the economic hub of the community. It was the place where people would gather.
And that's the purpose of a downtown, is to keep civic life cohesive in one place.
For 50 years, downtown Las Vegas thrived, growing eastward during Hoover Dam construction, but maintaining its core as the commercial and social center of the city until the 1950s, when things began to change.
That was when the resort industry could be recognized as an industry. And it wasn't centered in Las Vegas. It was centered in Clark County. It began siphoning all that business and all that money and that industry out of downtown. And at some point, the industry simply overwhelmed them. And Las Vegas was no longer a town with a resort industry attached. It was a resort industry with a town attached.
They really worked hard to modernize downtown, giving it kind of a new streetscape, painting the buildings. So there was a push to redevelop as early as the late 1950s, early 1960s.
If you look at old photographs and film of the El Dorado parades, downtown Fremont Street was still a commercial hub at that time.
The downtown was cool. Downtown was thriving, basically, in the mid-60s. They had the old Fremont Street before the canopy had gone up, before the Fremont Street experience came into effect. And basically, that was the iconic street of this community here. It wasn't the Strip. You came down to Fremont Street because that's where all the action was, that's where all the lights were.
It was really the movement of the commercial heart of Las Vegas out of downtown that killed downtown.
And unfortunately that happened because of the development of the Boulevard Mall and the suburbs being pushed out more and more away from the city center itself. Some of the big businesses like Sears and JCPenney's and Ronzoni's were already relocating by the time the mall had opened to the south, and we started seeing this decline in downtown.
It's almost looking at Las Vegas, at downtown, almost as a living creature that you stop feeding and you stop giving water to, and it dies.
By the 1980s, from when I remember Fremont Street, it was already far in decline. A lot of boarded up buildings, a few businesses here and there. The JCPenney's was turned into a medical center, and it became, sadly, very seedy.
I saw that lawyers that I had known who had offices here, they had left, and the banks were leaving the downtown, and there was no energy at all.
It was really bad. I mean, every single time I would even venture in the area, if I was with friends, and I would get a hit up for drugs, prostitution. You would see seedy characters on the corner. I mean, it was rough and tumble.
How are you going to persuade people to come back to downtown? It wasn't an easy thing to do, and I don't think that it really looked like it might be a success probably until Oscar Goodman made that a particular hallmark of his tenure as mayor.
That's when the light bulb went on that if I was going to do something as the mayor, and I chose to revitalize it or to attempt to revitalize it, and I didn't know how. Dan Van Epp, who was the president of the Hughes Corporation, he said, "You can't do what you want to do." I said, "Why?" He says, "You don't have what you need." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Land." And then it dawned on me we had a piece of land.
The former Union Pacific brownfield, now known as Symphony Park, was owned by Lehman Brothers. Mayor Oscar Goodman set his sights on the property and then orchestrated a cash land trade deal to acquire 61 acres of property that had been virtually barren and mostly forgotten since the earliest days of Las Vegas.
Really one of the biggest successes that this city's ever had, and I say this as a local, was the acquisition of those rail yards by the city. It was huge because all of a sudden you had an enormous piece of empty land right smack in the middle of downtown.
It would have been very easy to have like a district put over there or the one that's out town center put over there, but we did have a vision that this would be a place where we would have academic medicine, a place where we would have culture, a place where we would have a sports arena, we would have mixed use.
But still, these are places that people would go to from the suburbs and then they'd turn around and go home again.
Why did you make downtown your hill to die for? I mean, you said
because
everybody was...
The truth, Ben,
Yeah.
because I'm a smart guy who knows that when the core of an apple begins to rot, the apple rots, and then the bushel, and had the downtown failed and gone into the direction where it was, it would have turned into the downtown of cities where I tried cases all over the country became war zones, rubble. And I did not want that to happen here because nobody distinguishes when they hear Las Vegas, they think of the Strip. And when they read that Las Vegas' downtown went into the toilet, they'll equate it with a Strip, and it would have a devastating effect on us becoming the #1 tourist destination in the world.
The Tony Hsieh thing is the next step. And I think the fact that we have people like Zappos and others who want to live downtown, who are trying to breathe some life back into the corpse of downtown, indicates to me that they realize the importance of what was lost and they want it back.
And he's now reinvigorating downtown Vegas.
You're the mayor of downtown Vegas now with the Downtown Project.
So with any major redevelopment project or process, there are always going to be villains, victims, and heroes.
Smile big! Smile big! Yeah, there it is.
You're bringing the one thing that we were missing into the downtown, and that was the critical mass, the people.
Historically, we've thought of our brand in terms of the 3 C's, meaning clothing and customer service and company culture, and now we've added a 4th C, which is community.
Tony Hsieh moved Zappos and its 70 employees from San Francisco to Henderson, Nevada in 2004. Today, the company, owned by Amazon but still run by Hsieh, has 2,000 employees and is preparing to move to downtown Las Vegas in September. Initially, he was just looking to build an urban campus for Zappos.
What if it's more like an NYU campus where the city kind of blends in with the campus and you don't really know where one begins and the other ends? And what if like every coffee shop or bar is actually a potential meeting space or conference room.
But the campus quickly became an effort to help redevelop an entire city core. A small group of investors led by Shea formed a separate company called the Downtown Project. Funded with $350 million, the group has set a goal of creating a collaborative community focused on improving the quality of life downtown.
I've actually never lived in a more community-focused place in my life, and I grew up in the Bay Area and lived in San Francisco, but I've never lived in a place where the bar owners hang out at each other's bars to support each other, and I thought that was pretty cool.
The project now entails funding small businesses, a school, launching a Tesla car-sharing program, supporting an arts festival, and trying to build a tech industry. They are redefining redevelopment in Las Vegas.
If we can help the community and get it right here, in one of the places probably that I would say most people expect it the least in downtown Las Vegas, then I think that model could be used by other cities. And as Tony continuously preaches, we just passed the first point in human history where more than 50% of the world's population live in cities. And in our lifetime, that is supposed to move past 75% of the world's population. So, you know, having successful cities, I think, is just super important to the human race.
But why are they doing all of this?
Amazon isn't in the business of helping open up restaurants, and so I guess it's more just someone has to do it.
Tony and I and then others who were hanging out downtown just all started hanging out together just because we wanted to live and hang out in a city.
Downtown is starting to transform. East Fremont is buzzing with activity. 27 companies have received investment money from the Tech Fund. Several small businesses are open or in various stages of development.
That has changed the way people feel when they're here. And I think that's an awesome thing, and that makes me glad to live here. But I think that's the biggest change, is that all of a sudden folks in Las Vegas actually feel a sense of pride about their downtown, where 2 years ago I don't think people did.
Shea's people want others in the area to make their own contributions. The combination of capitalism and communal values is what they say separates the Downtown Project from other urban renewal programs.
And I think that sense of community and openness and collaboration is a big part of what it means to be part of any community.
People are thinking. There's a lot of really young, dynamic people in the downtown area today that are thinking big. And they're not just thinking about slash and burn, tear everything down and rebuild.
Shea has received national media attention for his downtown revitalization effort. Their idea vastly differs from traditional development in Las Vegas.
I think that's something that Las Vegas never offered before, was this pedestrian, cafe, cultured sort of urban lifestyle. And that's the attempt at what we're building.
Not all has been easy for Shea and his partners when it comes to transforming downtown. They must deal with a place overlooked for years, dilapidated and populated by scrappy business owners, fixed income residents, and the down and out.
If anything, we have too much interest right now from small businesses and tech companies and people that want to live here. There just aren't places to put them. I guess I wish construction could happen faster.
All we know is we're in the beginning of an evolutionary process that most cities that are now viewed as some of the best practices around the country have gone through, and it takes time.
Shea has been on a buying spree of late, purchasing whole city blocks, displacing longtime residents from day motels and apartment buildings.
There is a precedent for some of what Tony Shea is doing in terms of the sort of the classic company town, because he's not just building. He and the Downtown Project are building places and these businesses in some ways for his own employees that he's moved to.
And I think what we want to do is kind of be the landlord for the core in terms of kind of call it the heart and soul of the community.
Again, this is what I think might be a potential problem down the line when another powerful, influential entity enters the downtown, says, hey, I see this too as a place of opportunity for my business and for my employees. What's going to happen? Is Tony going to play nice?
We want to make sure that we set the right example of how to invest, and then ultimately be able to say, if you want to reinvest in the community, here's what we've learned about doing that, and here's a way you can approach that, doing that, but not but not just say, come on down here and do whatever you want.
Despite the criticism, Shea continues on with his vision. The group wants to have 10,000 upwardly mobile people interacting downtown in the near future.
If the downtown project wants to survive or will survive, they're going to need to invest in the people who are already here, help enhance their cultural capital, help make them upwardly mobile.
People, question downtown project and they question what's going on here. And what I can tell you is my personal experience has been authentic and community-based and just love. And I'm a cynic. I'd tell you you're full of shit, but I lived it. Like, these people did this stuff for me.
If you're looking at over the long term of what needs to be done to transform the community, to help it mature, to take it to the next level, so to speak, I think the investment by Tony Shea is as important, if not more important, than just building another $350 million casino.
And this isn't just one tech company that he's going to build and sell for millions of dollars. This is about people.
On May 8, 2013, the last remaining residents of the John E. Carson Hotel had their belongings carefully loaded onto trucks provided by the downtown project and moved to the Dragon Hotel approximately 5 blocks away. The property is just one of many locations purchased by the downtown project that has been slated for renovations to accommodate new business opportunities. For the residents being uprooted, the move, while not unexpected, has left many of them wondering what will become of their familiar community.
Right now it's kind of hectic because they're just moving our stuff from one building to another. But all in all, the transition is just, you couldn't ask for anything better. They really went out of their way to help us out on this. As you can see, they're moving our stuff for us. We don't even have to do that. They've got another place for us to move to. Been freshly remodeled, painted, given us our first month rent free.
There's never been a situation where we didn't, for example, not only pay to move people, but pay their first month's rent and negotiate a cheaper rent for them at an alternative location. No one else, no other person would do that. We've made it easier for people to relocate.
I hated that I had to move, but it's their place and they can do what they want. I just wish that it gave us a little more options on where we could move to. Something a little better than the Dragon, because the Dragon is, just a room. I would have liked an efficiency apartment where I could cook, make food.
Just the nature of a motel. Who lives in a motel? Number one, you shouldn't be living in a motel. You shouldn't be living in a room that doesn't have its own bathroom, that doesn't have some sort of cooking equipment. It's not healthy. So I'd say the root of the issue, you're displacing people from a motel. That's kind of like going to the MGM Grand and saying, I don't want to leave, and they say, well, someone else has a reservation for this room, you got to go.
I think it's a really interesting and scary analogy to compare a mega casino resort to a city. And hopefully a city which is populated by people rather than a mega resort that is populated by consumers and customers. I think there's a different logic, or should be a different logic at play.
The business model exists and succeeds because it fills a need for individuals who can't afford to meet the obligations and needs of a full-time, of a permanent lease. When I look at the number of individuals who have come through our program, who the mission has helped, we've helped them get back on their feet to a certain extent. They've been able to accumulate some funds. The next rung of the ladder is the weekly motel.
A lot of other cities, you acquire people's houses. You acquire massive apartment buildings and co-ops and so forth. And it's just epic what happens there, like awful. They just throw people out. The community is only as good as the diversity of the people in it. And I think people perceive us a lot as a tool for gentrification or a cause for it. And we work really, really hard to not let that happen.
The last 18 months has seen the Downtown Project set aside $50 million for investment in new small businesses. Yet despite their best efforts to ease the gentrification process, some of the area's more established local businesses claim to have been left out and displaced. Steve and Maniono, owners of the Fremont Family Market and Deli, found themselves scrambling to find a new location for their 15-year-old business after the landlord refused to renew their lease and rented the property to the Downtown Project instead.
My brother, my father, and I put our blood, sweat, and tears into this business. I mean, to see a building that was boarded up, to build a business to $1.6 million a year, and to lose it just because of what the new regime is that's coming into the area, and that part is hurtful to us. I mean, not to see, like, you know, the 15 years that these people put into this place.
Drug dealers, hookers, people asking you, hey, would you like to buy some drugs? We survived that. We survived the construction, which lasted like 1.5 years, where you couldn't even drive down our street. We survived that. We survived everything for the new regime. And then to ask to leave, it's just not right.
Makes sense. Thank you. You have a great day. You ready, sweetie?
It's very family-oriented downtown. We have people coming in all the time, the same people, day in, day out, that would be coming in, you know, through our store. It was more, it felt like family. When my father passed away, hundreds of people from the area, people that we haven't seen in 4 or 5 years, hear about this. They came in with a white sheet of paper, maybe about 6 feet long, and everybody wrote a message on it. If that's not a community, I don't know what is.
Sometimes love comes around, it knocks you down. Just get back up, it knocks you down, knocks you down.
Well, if it grows, we know. I mean, we do fades, we do tapers, brush cuts, covatices. We have an array of a selection in which we render services.
At A Cut Above the Rest barbershop, owner Tim Wilkinson and his partners have been offering their services to the downtown community for 14 years. With their lease set to expire in 2 years, their future now seems uncertain. The Downtown Project recently recruited barbers from Los Angeles to fill a perceived need in their new container park development, which happens to be located directly across 7th Street from A Cut Above the Rest.
It was more or less like kind of like a smack in the face type of deal. You know, because I feel as if we could have been able to accommodate the people in the aspects of being the premier barbershop downtown. They take several walks in this area, but never came here and spoke with us in regards to giving us an opportunity. And I feel as if there could have been some type of hybrid connection in regards to his ideas and what was already here, to be able to come together and still be able to be successful in regards to his idea and the vision that he had with coming downtown. Well, if we had to move, God forbid that we don't, that A Cut Above the Rest has been loyal to the community for over 20 years. And trust me, we have a ton of faith in our patrons to support us for another 20 years.
As existing businesses and longtime residents grapple with their uncertain future, the Downtown Project continues to forge ahead with their vision of what might be.
In any, again, narrative, there are going to be villains, victims, and heroes. Because some of the change happening in downtown is happening so quickly, it's hard to figure out exactly who's playing those characters right now.
With the fate of the city tied to Tony Hsieh's unique brand of redevelopment, it remains to be seen if downtown will restore the vibrant culture it once possessed.
I have a real problem with the term revitalization. Revitalization means that you're going to breathe new life into a place, into an area. Well, what about the life that was already there? Well, when you use the word revitalization, you end up implying that those lives didn't have value. So they're not the ones who are being revitalized. It's about the revitalization of new business owners or the new community or new culture or new quote-unquote creative class that ends up entering that old urban wilderness.
Mostly been what's already there that has had the upper hand, but we've reached the point where that can't go on the way it is because Tony Hsieh won't be able to accomplish what he wants.
I'm a little bit on the side of if you're not a contributor, then let other people contribute. Make room for those people that want to contribute and who want to be part of something. If you don't want to be, then there's 50 other weekly motels in a 2-mile radius. Go find one.
And that's how they looked at us, as that guy. They never introduced themselves to us, never even seen our faces, didn't even know our names. So it's stereotypical of how they look
They basically
upon
discriminated
us.
against us.
You don't have very many opportunities to help shape the future of a major city, and that's pretty exciting. And that, I guess that's how I think of it's thinking of the city as a start.
Look what happened over there with Smith and Ruvo. Look what's happened downtown with East Fremont and Fremont Street. And let's give it a shot. Let's live in the downtown.
Are they going to find the support they need if they're ruthless? Can they compromise? I don't know. We're still not through this yet, so we can't say. But it's happening.